We are back. Third segment of Jason Mackey's weekly YouTube appearance here on our Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel now. We are talking about the Pirates trade deadline. What moves can Ben Cherington make? What moves should he be allowed to make by owner Bob Nutting? Going to get into a little bit of Bryan Reynolds. What's going on with him? Why has it gone so south this season? Get Jason's reaction to the draft. Top pick Seth Hernandez, Oneil Cruz at the Home Run Derby, the Adam Frazier trade, maybe a little Konnor Griffin at the end. Jason, let's start at the deadline because I think that's now the big waypoint, but there's a lot of stuff we can talk about that's happened, but the next big thing that is going to happen is the trade deadline. So just given the state of this team losing 8 of 9 going into the break, what moves should Ben Cherington be allowed to make here by Bob Nutting? Should he be allowed to touch these bigger names that you've signed to long-term extensions that you had marked as cornerstones of the franchise? Should they be cornerstones of whatever comes next, or is this the end of an era where maybe you want to get rid of those guys, regardless of who's the GM?
Yeah, it's a very nuanced deadline here, Adam. I think there's a lot of intrigue with what they do, what they don't do, and the answer is varied. Like Mitch Keller, no. I'm not allowing Ben Cherington to trade Mitch Keller under any circumstances. I mean, we're talking about the absolute wheelhouse of what Cherington has done wrong or ineffectively with the Pirates. Talk about flipping pitching for hitting, acquiring hitting. This is a very significant move for the Pirates to make, and I just wouldn't trust Ben Cherington to do it, and I don't think Bob will trust Ben Cherington to do it either. Trading Bryan Reynolds doesn't make any sense. We'll get to Reynolds in a minute, but I mean, it's selling off an asset at its very lowest point. Doesn't make sense. If there's a taker for Brian Hayes, that's a different discussion. And I'm starting with the big money, the contract guys. They need a different kind of first baseman or third baseman, excuse me. They don't need gold glove defense. They need offense. The whole team needs offense. So if you have a way to flip Brian Hayes, a team that's interested in his glove, if you can even just free up that money, that's great. Now, what Cherington should be allowed to do, Adam, the guys on expiring deals, Andrew Heaney, Caleb Ferguson. I actually don't hate the trade return for Adam Frazier. It's fine, more than I thought they would get, frankly. Tommy Pham and Isiah Kiner-Falefa. Trade all of them, try to get bats, whatever you can. You need to have guys closer to the major leagues or in the major leagues if that trade is possible. But I'm not letting Cherington do anything bigger. I'm not. I don't think they should. I don't think he's earned that. I don't think he should be the GM at the end of the season. I don't think he should be the GM right now. I don't think he should have started the season as GM. But if you're committed for whatever flawed reason to allow him to oversee the MLB draft and the trade deadline, fine. But you can't allow him to make franchise-altering trades.
Do you think he is? Do you think that this, unless things change, that he is done here? Because I think I've heard some notions from people, on the inside, maybe even our own. Noah Hiles has suggested that it's not necessarily a done deal that Ben Cherington's going to be gone. And in that context, why would you hamstring him from making these moves if you think he could be the GM next season? What do you think his longevity is as we sit here, at the end of the All-Star break?
I don't think he has much of it, Adam. I mean, that's the intel I have. I don't think he's staying around long. Whether they can him in August or the offseason, I don't know, and I don't know if it makes a difference, but I don't think he's going to have the authority to make sizable moves. I don't think you're going to see any of those guys that I mentioned, anybody on non-expiring deals, if that makes sense. I mean, it's going to have to be a trade return where you look at them and you say, okay, all right, that makes sense. Like that was clearly a trade that the Pirates have to make. If it's anything even remotely questionable, I don't think Ben's going to be allowed to do it because I don't think they're happy with Ben, and I don't think Ben sticks around. So I don't mean to disagree with Noah's reporting. I guess I am a little bit. I think there are different shades and different flavors of the same stuff floating around. I don't see why you can bring him back. I know that Bob Nutting is not happy with the job he's done. I don't know what reason they could possibly have for retaining him. The draft? I mean, Ben's not even directly involved with the draft, and now all of a sudden we're gonna credit him. No, there's some flawed thinking there, man.
I mean, I agree. I think my concern would be that he does have a story to tell Bob Nutting in terms of the pitching, and saying, hey, there was that graphic floating around from, I believe, the Raise the Jolly Roger account about how they had at the time allowed the fewest runs in baseball. That's a success. And yes, there's a greater failure surrounding it, but he has a story to tell Bob Nutting that I can see Bob Nutting being somewhat persuaded by, as much as I disagree with that. So I think that's my concern, is that you can say, hey, well, we got the most important thing right. Let's fix the bats. Maybe he gets one more offseason to do it. What's your sense of what's going on with Bryan Reynolds? This was a deal that I thought should happen. I think it's a deal you thought should happen. I think it's a deal a lot of people thought should happen, and now it is going very poorly, as a lot of these Pirates extensions over the years have. A, what's going on with him, and B, do you worry that this is going to make Bob Nutting even more gun shy than he has been in the past?
I don't think it matters, because I don't think there's anything to fire at, Adam. If I'm taking the analogy the appropriate way, like gun shy, I mean, for what? Extending players? I don't think he has an opportunity to extend anybody. I mean, Paul Skeens isn't signing an extension. I don't think Oneil Cruz is signing an extension. Maybe you would approach Konnor Griffin. I know we'll get to that shortly. And I don't have a magic answer for what's going on with Reynolds. I don't think he's in a decline, though. I will say that. I mean, I know that he's had a bad season. I know that, he doesn't move terribly well. I don't think I've known Bryan Reynolds since the day he walked in the door, basically, on this beat. There are few people and players that I respect more for the effort that they put in and how much they care. Bryan Reynolds didn't suddenly fall off a cliff at age 30. I think he's having a bad year, and I think he's frustrated by that. I don't think the defense has anything to do with it, where he's taking some of that at the plate. I just think he's having a bad year. He's just not performing well. Like, guys have that. I don't think Bryan Reynolds is a bad hitter. He's just hitting poorly. And it doesn't make me change my opinion on the deal or what the Pirates have done. Like, this is just kind of baseball, man. I know it's not a sexy answer. I know, like, everybody wants to have a solution for everything, not just this. I don't have anything magical to say other than I'm sticking by Bryan Reynolds. I trust his process. I think it's going to be okay. I don't think he's over the hill or a poor hitter. I just think he's having a bad year.
Jason, we got to get your reaction to the draft as well. Seth Hernandez was the top pick, another pitcher. Some people have strongly disagreed with that, given the state of the Pirates offense. I know that there's a lot of people in baseball media. I think you're probably one of them that say you got to get the best player available in the MLB draft. That's the name of the game. And you figure out your weaknesses, with older players, with trades, with, free agency. At some point, though, when you look at how Ben Cherington's handled things and what might get him fired, it is a lack of offense over the long run. Is there any part of you that wishes they had gone after a bat?
No, none whatsoever. I think they got two incredibly good players in Konnor Griffin and Seth Hernandez. I am 1,000% on board with those picks. If Ben Cherington would have went into that draft and said, you know what, my major league team can't hit, I'm going to go fix it in the MLB draft, he would have gotten laughed out of the room, as he should have. Like, that's not how you do baseball. That's how you do the NFL. That's totally fine. Maybe the NHL at the very upper crust. I don't know enough about the NBA. I'm guessing there's there's a parallel there, right? Like, if you don't have any good guards, you're going to go get a guard in the draft or something. But baseball, man, there's no relevance. There's no relevance at all. So, yes, criticize Cherington's lack of offense, the moves he's made, how they've addressed position players. All of that stuff's completely fair. But I'm sorry, Seth Hernandez is sitting there staring at me with 95 to 100, 4 breaking pitches, a refined changeup, clean mechanics, all this stuff. Sign me up. There's no question whatsoever. I mean, the two most cited, respected services had him in the top 3, and the Pirates got him at 6. I'm sorry, I don't see a problem there.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Jason, but hey, we got to do the devil's advocate side there.
I know. And it drove me crazy on Twitter seeing people that, like, well, yeah, they can't hit as a team. They're not scoring runs. Like, this is not where you go to fix that.
No, I think the one place where I would give that argument a little credence is if you pick a pitcher every single year and then your offense stinks at the end of 6 years, which is where the Pirates are. Maybe you look back and say, could we have picked a bat somewhere in the middle of that maybe changed where the trajectory has gone? Again, I think especially if you're the Pirates, you need to get the best player available because this is your only opportunity to get those types of guys. But I can see the argument at least. Jason, we're going to talk about Oneil Cruz and the Home Run Derby, the Adam Frazier trade a little bit more, and Konnor Griffin on the other side of this break. Before we do that, we want to thank our friends at Greenwalt Roofing.
Hey, Pittsburgh. When you think of great roofs, you think Greenwalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years experience, Greenwalt knows your roof is your home's first line of defense from rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenwalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust that their team of experienced installers will treat your property like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenwalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenwaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. VA contractor number 36262.
We are back, wrapping up here with Jason Mackey on our Pirates YouTube channel. Jason, Oneil Cruz put on a show at the Home Run Derby, had a 513-foot home run, falls a little bit short to Cal Raleigh, which was a great story. I think it was certainly one of the better performances we've seen from a Pirate in a Home Run Derby, where there's been some fairly checkered history. I think Jason Bay and his Big Bagel back, in 05, 20 years ago. Oneil Cruz acquitted himself well. He's on more people's radars potentially than he was before. Where does he go from here? Can he turn around these inconsistencies and become more of the player that people hoped they were seeing? But, they pointed out he was the only guy in the Derby that was not an all-star.
Yep.
What can he become an all-star, Jason? Is that still an outcome for him?
Well, I think, yes, it is. I think it is. And I think the clock is ticking even more so now on him and the Pirates. Because I think what happened in the Home Run Derby, Adam, is I think the rest of baseball, if they weren't aware, they saw his enormous potential. And yeah, I'm still going to use the word potential. He's 26. There's potential. A lot of people have it figured out by then or some degree, but not everybody does. So I think that's what I saw. I loved it. I had no problem watching it, feeling good about it. This is another nuanced thing. I don't understand why people can't look at the good Oneil has and appreciate it, and then also look at the bad that he's committed or stuff that he needs to improve on, and talk honestly about that. The good news with Oneil, we talk a lot about physical mistakes, or you can, if somebody has physical talent, you can work on the rest of that. And that's where I'm at with Oneil. A lot of his problems are mental. We're seeing this. He can be a space cadet at times, and he should be criticized as such. I do believe that can be fixed. One of the takes that I heard, and Andrew Filipponi on The Fan was the one that delivered this. And I'm not trying to criticize Andrew. It's just, he thought that this would go to Cruz's head, would send him the other way, that he'd become egotistical or wouldn't care about the mental stuff. Nobody's really brought up the inverse of that. What if Cruz got around all these guys, talked to them a little bit, and they were like, dude, you're so close. You have so much going for you. Stop being stop being out to lunch. Stop, get things figured out. And this is going to be your payday. And that's what, if I'm Oneil Cruz and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, man, I got to get back here for real this time. I got to figure out the outfield stuff, higher average. Not that he's not trying to do it now, but more consistent bat to ball, smarter decisions on the bases, whatever. He has the hard part figured out. I think he absolutely can get back there, and I think it'll be a real shame at him if he doesn't.
I'll tell you why I think people get disappointed. And this has been my consistent criticism of the Pirates for going back to the Starling Marte days, is that every single guy like him that comes up they do fill their head with crap. I mean, they do hype them to an irrational degree. And then they come up here and they will always fall short of the expectations that get set for them on the broadcast with the advertising. There is no soft pedaling these guys. So that when they fall short, they become these objects for criticism. Even if Oneil Cruz does become an all-star someday, I think there's still some people who, unless he's hitting 50 home runs, are going to think that that they didn't get what they were supposed to out of him. So I think that's part of the issue there. Jason, I want to get your thoughts quickly in the Adam Frazier trade. I know they got a decent player out of it, at least in AAA numbers. This sets me up for a rant that I went on Twitter during our break of.
You're trying to ask me about it. What the heck? You set yourself up.
Fair enough. I want your thoughts on this, because our Bob Smizek, one of my favorite follows on Twitter, puts a lot of effort into talking about the Pirates, even though he's not getting paid for it anymore and hasn't for many years. He said, why don't the Pirates have Jack Suwinski up here? He's raking down in AAA, 926 OPS. He's got to be better than Alex Canario. To which I said, I remember a day when we were looking at the guys in AAA and said, they got to be better than Jack Suwinski. And now we've come all full circle to bring Jack Suwinski back. How much stock do you put in AAA numbers regarding this guy they got in return for Adam Frazier? More and more, I don't care anymore. That's going to set me up for the Konnor Griffin question in a second. But, if we're on Jack Suwinski and he still comes up and still looks like a deer in the headlights when he steps into the box at a major league level, there's always that shot of him like looking. I don't know what he's looking at when he strikes out, but he's always looking in the same direction. What's going on with AAA these days?
I know. I mean, they're not the first ever AAA prospects to not get their numbers to translate to the big leagues, and they sure as heck aren't going to be the last. I mean, I think the Pirates have a greater rate of that stuff happening than other teams, certainly. I mean, I look at the numbers, and I think it's better than him not having them. I'd rather they have a trade for somebody with a 961 OPS, I think that's what it is, in AAA than somebody with like a 561 OPS. I mean, he shouldn't be a Alika Williams. I hope not. Here's where I'm at with the Frazier deal, man. And I'm going to bring it back to Devaney. I mean, Adam Frazier's 33, making $1.5 million with a 650 OPS, basically a singles hitter, slugging like 340. And they got something for him? Sure. Great. I'll take a lottery ticket. I don't know. He might not work. And frankly, Ben Cherington has had too many of these lottery tickets that haven't hit. Somebody here should be good, and they're not, and that's a problem. But you're going to lose Adam Frazier. Yes, I agree. They should have replaced the GM in the offseason. They didn't. But given what they're currently looking at, am I going to get mad over this trade return? No. And I hope they play Jack Suwinski the rest of the year. I want to see every excruciating strikeout because I want to know once and for all whether he's anything or whether he's a bust. Either that or throw him in a trade package and give him a change of scenery. That makes sense too.
I feel like he's gotten the chances, but that's just me. Speaking of,
he has, but what would you do though? I mean, you have Jack Suwinski in your organization. What would you do? Just DFA him and be done?
I mean, if you can get something for him, I'd trade him, but I wouldn't be afraid to push that DFA button and give some other opportunities to guys, even if you don't think they're going to turn out. I mean, Pirates history is filled with those types, like Garrett Jones. Remember Garrett Jones when he came in here, there were no expectations for him. He goes on that second half tear. Yeah. I don't see that coming from Jack Suwinski. I don't know if I see it coming from anyone in the minor leagues, but I could be wrong. I don't think I'm going to be wrong about Jack Suwinski, though, because I think we have the sample size. Jason, I want to talk about Konnor Griffin briefly. I think a lot of people are seeing him as entering can't miss territory. Am I just a hater for saying I don't really care what he's doing against 20-year-olds in the minor leagues? And even if he's looking apart, I want to see him be developed. And at least as long as this regime's in place, I don't really believe in what's going to happen between where he is now and the big leagues.
Yep. And let me provide a counter argument first, though. There are a few kids I've come across who are as mature, as focused. I mean, he's different. Like the makeup is different. So I take what he's doing on the field differently. I really like Konnor Griffin, man. He's like Paul Skeens level on the 20 to 80 scale of driven, focused personality. That being said, man, he's done it at low A in a very hitter-friendly park in high A. We can pump the brakes. That's okay. You're not a hater. You're not saying Konnor Griffin stinks. He's never going to pan out. It's just yeah, I'm going to be really excited about high A, and then we'll see what he does when he goes to double A. And if we're still having this conversation in triple A, that's awesome. That's great. Those are the things that should govern how you handle minor league prospects. I also believe that if a guy's tearing up a level, I don't have any problem with keep moving them along. This looks easy for you. Let's go to the next one. And the Pirates too often have been too slow with that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think you're trying to inject a dose of realism into the Konnor Griffin conversation. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I don't think he could work out in any circumstance. I just it hasn't worked. They haven't developed a hitter in 6 years. Really, if you go back, you can go back even further than that into the Neil Huntington regime. It's been most of a decade since they brought up a.
He's not going to pan out. You're just saying let's hold off a bit before we.
I'm going to believe it when I see it. Is more or less what I'm saying, and I think there is a pump the brakes conversation to be had because I think a lot of people are seeing him go into can't miss territory. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe he is a can't miss prospect, but I'm not there yet.
Hey, let me ask you something real quick because I agonized over this in my mailbag. Who gets to the majors first, Termarr Johnson or Konnor Griffin?
Oh boy. I don't know. Termarr Johnson I think Termarr Johnson has been the example of what I'm talking about. Of like, I feel like he's been undercooked all the way up, and he's the best hope that they have at the high levels of the minors. But if you look at his numbers, I say, do I think those are going to translate? Those numbers would be decent on a big league team. They wouldn't be great. And I don't think that you're going to hit at that level when you get to the big leagues for a period of time. So I'm kind of down on Termarr Johnson. So maybe he gets here before Konnor Griffin, but I do have more hope for Konnor Griffin.
Yeah. Sorry. That was just a random thought I had. I think Griffin gets here earlier. I do. I think Griffin gets here next year. Tamar's got a 700 OPS AA. That doesn't get you to the big leagues. Not next year.
Yeah, I mean, so you do think, what's the timeline? Is it like a September call up next year, or do you see him potentially being here earlier than that as like a mid-season?
I mean, I don't think this is going to happen because it's the Pirates. I'd approach Konnor Griffin now. I'd try to get him, like, if you can get him to AA. Let me say it this way: this offseason, if you can get him to AA and get him like a substantive number of games, and he can produce at that level, and you've got enough indicators, I'd try to approach him this offseason with something. Start him up here. I don't think they're going to do that, mind you. A more realistic possibility is probably ending the year at AA, starting at double, going through triple during the season. Yeah, a September call-up. But, I mean, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities for Konnor Griffin to be up here next year. Not at this current trajectory.
Well, we will keep our eyes on him. Jason, thank you so much for joining me this week. Covered a lot of ground. Looking forward to talking next week. Everyone else, if you enjoyed this video, please like it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe to both our PG Sports and PG Pirates channels so you get all of our daily content. And we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.